It is 1:11 on the dot as I begin this reading, and it's so apropos because the numbers I have written down here that were coming through for this download are 11, 111, 1010, 1001. So really all ones and sometimes zeros thrown in. So it's interesting. If you're seeing that number formation a lot, there might be messages in here for you. So welcome. Solara here. I hope you guys are doing well. I've been doing a lot of Black Hat messages because I've had like an onslaught of downloads coming through, and tonight I'm breaking the monotony of the Black Hat messages and I'm showing up. I already was showing up, but you get what I'm saying. I'm here on your screen, okay? So I hope you guys are doing well. I want to take a moment to welcome you if you're visiting for the very first time. Hey, welcome if you are returning. Welcome if you've been with me from the beginning. Welcome if you've joined somewhere along the way. Thank you for being here. I'm just going to get right into the message because it's really late. And I'm going to get into it. So I'm going to go through the downloads and then I'm going to pull some cards and we'll wrap it up. Okay, so these are the downloads already. So the main download is you're totally switching up the game just when they thought they had you figured out. So you're totally switching up the game just when they thought they had you figured out. And I've had a lot of channeled messages coming through songs recently, and when I received this download, I think I got it on Sunday. I'm recording this now. It's after midnight, so it's technically Wednesday the 12th. So we're in another 3/3 portal today technically, but I think I got it like 3 days ago. I woke up on Sunday morning. I kept hearing just the beginning of that Lizzo song with Missy Elliott, Tempo, where she goes at the beginning, I've been waiting for this one, turn it up. And I just kept on hearing that, like playing in my mind on repeat. And I was also hearing, I was hearing the downloads that were coming through were pretty much saying it's time, okay? It's time. Your next steps are going to be illuminated clearly, and you are moving to your own tempo, your own beat, your own rhythm. Okay, so like I said, that song Tempo was coming in, and even some of the downloads when I was writing this later on in full, I was thinking also about, I don't follow a lot of so-called celebrity news, but I do know that I think Lizzo just came out with something new recently, and the big thing is that she's lost quite a bit of weight, and she purposely, did that maybe for her own health. I don't know. Like I said, I don't follow, celebrity news and interviews and stuff. But she came out. She's got a new image, right? And she's one who has, became very famous based upon her support of being a bigger woman and, advocating for more representations of beauty in entertainment. So she's switched up her image, and, she probably, I'm assuming, given the world that we live in, that she has some backlash for having done that, But at the end of the day, people make decisions based upon where they are in their lives and what is best for them. And if she felt like losing weight was going to give her, her best, it was part of her best timeline, then that's for her to decide. It's not really up for anyone else to judge. And the reason I'm saying all of this is because that's kind of the energy that I'm feeling here with these downloads. It's like some of these, if this is your reading, like some of these changes that you're making, they may be image, they may have nothing to do with your image, but they are things that you've been sitting on, you've been procrastinating out of fear of how you would be received, out of fear of rejection and judgment, even out of fear of not being able to properly pull it off. And I feel like you've gotten to this place where you're just like, fuck it, fuck a bunch of that. My life is mine. How I choose to express myself is purely up to me. Fuck what anyone else thinks. And if anyone has a problem, they can go kick rocks, but it's this like attitude of just like, I don't give any more. I have no more fucks left to give, pretty much, and so what I have written here is what you're embarking on is unconventional, even for you. And you've been being non-traditional and non-conforming possibly your whole life. But even this shift for you is even more removed from, how maybe like eccentric you already were or perceived as being, right? Because it's all perception at the end of the day. You're moving even farther left. Let's put it that way. So for some of you, this could be about image. You could be starting a new fitness regimen. You could be, seeing the results of a fitness regimen you've already begun. You might be losing weight. You might be toning up, or even you might be choosing to add weight and muscle and to sculpt your body by doing that. You might be changing up your image, and you're not doing it for validation. Right? You're not doing it for validation. And I feel like that's an important thing to say, because for some of you, the shift in what you're doing is very much a departure, because you may have done things like this in the past. You may have switched things up. You may be like the type of person that likes to change your image a lot, or you've been through a lot of like phases or whatever you want to call them. But in the past, there was always an underlying desire to please. There was an underlying desire to either please, or an underlying desire to belong, or an underlying desire to almost be performative with what it was you were putting out there. But with this energy, it's so like sacredly your own. It's like you are doing this not for validation, but you're doing it for you, because it's a better expression of who you now know yourself to be after, a lot of healing, the Ascension journey, however you want to look at it, however you want to interpret it, and however it resonates. But it's for you. It's about your ability to express to the world the person that's been hiding underneath a lot of the layers and the densities of, the spells, the expectations, all manner, the programming. It's like you've stripped yourself internally to get back to the core essence of who you are. And it's almost like this shift that you're making is celebrating the recovery of your being in a place where you're so much more in touch with who you actually are, and you really couldn't give a fuck anymore how other people perceive you, how other people have a problem with that, etc. It's about your ability to show up in the world, and even if it is performative, because there ain't nothing wrong with that either, especially where my Leo people at, okay? Those of you who have like Leo and 5th house placements, part of your energy signature is to perform. Not just Leos, even like the Aries energy, part of your energy signature is to be performative, and that's to be be fully embraced. And some of you have watered yourselves down and not allowed yourself to show up in full plume, like a peacock. You haven't allowed yourself to be like that, because anytime you may have even tried to move in that area, it caused a problem. You shone too bright. People wanted to dim your light. People started to talk. All of it would have been like envy, their own rejection issues and woundedness of seeing you be a way that they're too afraid to tap into for themselves. And so in that, like I said, you may have gone through many changes. You may have been more bold in your expression than most, and yet there was always something holding you back. There was always something that would pull you back into like some level of, I don't want to say conformity, but some level of like shrinking yourself to feel like you were less of a threat, also to draw less attention to you, because whoever this reading is for, if this is resonating for you, you're the type of person who you walk around and you call in people that look at you. You don't have to try. You never really have had to go out into the world and you've had to, perform, because you naturally, whether you know it or not, you attract attention. And that again is indicative of the fact that you have this energy where you're supposed to be very expressive. You're supposed to be kind of performative with your image. And the fact, even when you try to pull that part of yourself in, it doesn't stop people from seeing that about you, for better or for worse. And it's like now you're fully embracing it. So there's so many ways that this could be happening for you. Some things that were coming through. You might be getting a new tattoo. You might be getting your first tattoo. You might be choosing to get piercings. You might be exploring your own sexuality and the limitations you've placed upon yourself in that area because of shame narratives and convention. You might be, there's something that's very much connected to the body here. Dancing. You might be getting into dance. You might have left dance and you're coming back into it again. You might be exploring more, what we would call more, in the false matrix, like more erotic forms of dance, like pole dancing, belly dancing. There's something about you reclaiming yourself, but also embodying it. There's like a performance element to what it is I'm saying, whether you're like going on the stage or whether it is like you're just allowing the world to be a stage, because that's who you've always been, but who you've had to like dial down to be, more digestible for those who apparently have all manner of intolerances to your charisma. Let's put it that way. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it in terms of the downloads. So my oracle of shadows and light is actually speaking to me. And as I pull it out, this card is here. The Nine of Wands. So the Nine of Wands, let's since it's here, let's talk about it, right? Because I just did a post about this for yesterday's Daily Alchemy, the Daily Alchemy for Tuesday, March the 11th, where I was speaking about how it was time for many of us to shed that wounded warrior persona, because it's time for us to step into our love timelines and to kind of let go of the overriding theme of the war timelines that we had to be a part of. We had to really fully immerse ourselves into, because of the immense spiritual warfare that was occurring as we were awakening. But now that we're awakened and we're getting more rooted and grounded in our truth and our power and our divinity, it's time to put away those war timelines and rise back into who we actually are as love-based beings. And the Nine of Wands, it's Sagittarius energy, right? It's the second decan of Sagittarius, and it speaks about the journey and the struggle into being able to express yourself on the earth planes freely. Because Sagittarius is the sign of the zodiac, which is in terms of your body, it's connected to your thighs. It's where you begin to take out all the things you finally have learned and integrated about yourself. It's when you begin to walk the walk and not just talk the talk, and to start to live life on your own terms and to make your own rules. Sagittarius is very big for that. And of course, this year is connected to Sagittarian energy, because 2025, and broken down, it is a 9. 9 is an astrological degree of Sagittarius, and it's connected to the Virgo card, the Hermit. So very prominent Virgo and Sagittarius themes for 2025, and of course Piscean themes also, because of the North Node being in Pisces, right? So the 9 of Wands is, in my opinion, it's like the generational curse breaker card in the tarot. It's the card that speaks of the beings who have had to deal with a lot of backlash and rejection, gang stalking, and all that other crap within groups, oftentimes beginning with the family dynamic, because you were sent to be different. You were sent to break the monotony, to break the cycle, to break the dysfunction. And as such, you came in as an interrupter, a disruptor, an agitator, right? And no system that has been in a certain way of being for a while likes to be interrupted. That's just the way systems work. And a family, a group, it's a system. There's a homeostasis to every energy system, right? And all energy systems, whether that homeostasis is toxic, imbalanced, it doesn't matter. It's the status that they found within the system or within the group that feels comfortable and safe through repetition, right? And so many of you in this 9 of Wands energy, you've dealt with a lot of opposition, a lot of being cornered, a lot of being pushed back, a lot of being pushed out of yourself, a lot of having to fight to be who you are, a lot of having to fight to have your voice heard, or to be taken seriously, or to just, not be attacked, right? And you fought your way through a lot of this stuff to the point where not necessarily that these beings, these groups, these factions have stopped fighting against you, but to the point where the shield that you have created due to the rising of your own confidence and the rooting into your own divinity is such that it's a repellent now. It's a repellent now for a lot of these energies. It's a repellent, and even if it doesn't fully repel in the sense that beings are still coming at you, it doesn't knock you off your block anymore. It doesn't take you out of yourself anymore as it used to. You're so rooted in the truth of who you are that these beings who once upon a time were constantly fencing you into situations that ultimately would have you needing or feeling like you had to sacrifice yourself in some way just to survive, just to get back into a place of being able to heal. You're over that, right? You're over that. And like the download was saying, you're totally switching up the game just when they thought they had you figured, right? Because a lot of these situations and scenarios with these people, they really, a lot of the time, they think that they have you in a cycle and that your behavior is going to be predictable in some way, meaning that you're going to go but so far before you get pulled back into the dynamic, into the behavior, into the cycle, the struggle, right? But you've broken past that that ceiling. You've broken the cycle so so vehemently, so powerfully, that even if you're shaky, even if you're struggling to fully sustain it, you still don't have the ability to go back. You're too strong to return. You're too strong in your own energy to return back to what it is that they're expecting you to be. And so this new version of you, this new expression of you, it's like they can't even touch it. They can't fathom it. It's beyond the limitation of their own ability to perceive you a certain way. You know, like, this is why we don't fuck around with people who are committed to, you know, misunderstanding us, because they literally don't have the capacity to break out of the box that of the perception that they have about you, that they prefer to have. They don't want to see you evolve. They can't stand to see you evolve. They can't even begin to fathom your evolution, which is why you stay far away from people like that. So yeah. Any more messages coming through? You know what I find really interesting is, in this particular deck, this is the Everyday Witch Tarot, which was gifted to me by a beautiful soul who tunes in here and is a client also. So hello. The beautiful thing, well, not the beautiful thing, what I'm noticing about this particular card with the Nine of Wands, do you see how this person, they're holding two wands. They have one in each hand, and then all of these other wands, the other 7 wands that make up the Nine of Wands, are on the ground and they're going up in smoke, meaning that these 7 wands, they've already used those wands in battle, and those wands have already expired because the battle's been so intense. And so they're left with only 2 wands. Now, the 7 of Wands in the tarot is Leo energy. It's the 3rd decan of Leo. And it's the decan where you start to protect the integrity of your source codes, right? So the 6 of Wands, when the person is parading, is when they recovered that aspect of self where they don't mind rising, like that peacock energy. They don't mind it, because you know what? When you walk around and you look at all creation, Source is a bit of a show off, no? And in the best of ways, because how else would you enjoy the intricacies and the uniqueness and the power of the beauty that naturally surrounds you and emanates from Source in obvious ways? So Source, in how, Source, God, however you want to, whatever name you want to give that force, Source, God, a bit of a show off when it comes to their creating abilities in the best of ways. And the truth of the matter is, you're here to do that too. You're here to, not to be arrogant and to be a fucking ass waffle about it, but you're here to you're here to shine. You're here to project and magnify that aspect of source energy that you've been gifted to embody. You're here to take that out into the world and to be fucking loud about it. And some of you are here to be louder than others, because that's just the expression of Source you've been gifted with to express, right? And so everything in the false matrix was designed to get us to dim our lights, to keep us all in a low frequency, and to keep this competition that can only arise when you purposely put people into states of lack and have them in this survivalist mindset where they're constantly having to compete for everything. The false matrix wanted you competing with everyone for everything, because competition is born a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time, from lack. Because when you have everything on an individual level, why are you looking at the next person and what they have? What they have is no threat to you. It's only a threat to you if what they have is something that belongs to you, or something that you need, or something that you have to like go up against them in order to divide. Right? So the false matrix wanted you in competition because it takes you out of your sovereignty. It takes you out of your autonomy. It takes you out of your power. Right? So the Six of Wands, which occurs in the second decan of Leo from 10 to 19 degrees, right in that decan where the 8-8 portal happens every single year, right? It's that time where you are getting your light back, your shine, your solar energy is being replenished, your ability to shine, to rise and shine in the fullness of who you are as a source emanation, as an emanation of source energy embodied here on the earth planes through the Six of Wands. You get to take that out into the world and to project it and to shine it out there, because that's what the fuck you came here to do. But whenever you're able to do that, you can bet that the haters come in, and the ones who like to throw shade. And that's why what happens right after the Six of Wands is we move into the Seven of Wands, where you got to start to fucking defend that. You got to defend what it is that rightfully belongs to you. You got to defend your right to shine. You got to defend your victory. And so I say all of this because all of these wands on the ground smoking, they're 7 wands. These are the wands that have been expired from that constant need to protect your right to be who you are, protect your right to shine, And like I said before, this energy that was coming through on Sunday through the downloads, it was speaking to me a lot about these cycles that many of us have gone through, where we begin to bloom, we begin to blossom, and all of a sudden it becomes a problem. Never mind even the false matrix, like the spells that are already within the fabric of the false matrix that are purposely like detonated every time you move higher into your power. But just the people around you, a lot of the time couldn't stand it. And that does something to a psyche, especially when you've already been in battle mode for so long. You've already been in survival mode for so long. And the really fucked up thing about this a lot of the time is that people come at you as if you need to be humbled, as if you haven't gone through so much just to push through that barricade to begin expressing yourself. They act as if you've had that with ease the whole time, and so you need to be in some way molded and humbled to learn how to deal with it in a way that is more palatable to them. Right? That's what they like to act like. They don't realize a lot of the time, and some of them do realize it, but they're just so fucking vindictive and bitter that they still want to pull you out of your position of self-sovereignty and your position of confidence and all those other things. Some of them are bitter and nefarious in that way. But the point of the matter is that it's just like every time you work up the energy, you get the energy back to begin to rise higher into your truth and to begin to express it in the world. The pushback, what you have to fight against, was so fucking fatiguing. Right? With this like 9 of Wands character, so fucking fatiguing that of course it would cause you to shrink back for a while, oftentimes to replenish yourself for the next cycle, because the 9 of Wands is a person who don't give up. You just keep on, even if you got to go and sit on the sidelines and take a break. You got to sit on the sidelines and go do something else for a while. You got to retreat out of society and go into hermit mode. You do what you've got to do to replenish yourself, to rise again. And that constant having to retreat and pull away to just replenish yourself in order to just show up in the world and be who you are, that's fucked up. That's fucked up, right? But what it feels like here is like you've reached a point where the kickback that comes when you're rising now into your true source expression, your right to shine and be who you are, the pushback that is inevitable a lot of the time that comes, it can't bother you anymore. It can't push you back against the tree. It can't cause you to drop your wands. It can't, for some of you, it ain't even going to cause you to like fight anymore. Like you're done. Like this is what I was saying with the daily alchemy for yesterday. Like you're done with the war timelines, not because beings and the warfare isn't still happening around you, but because you've reached a level, or you're reaching a level where a lot of that just won't touch you anymore in the same way that it could once upon a time. It's not going to put a pin in your bubble and cause you to retreat anymore. In fact, some of you are learning how to take that energy and to use it to propel you even further, right? So let's go into this deck. The Oracle of Shadows and Light by Lucy Cavendish. I'm just going to do this over here because of my mic. We've already got one. That's what's come out. I love this. Nautilus Princess. Powerful personal growth. Powerful personal growth. Okay, it's the number 41 card. Powerful personal growth. Now, what I'm kind of drawn to intuitively, like in this card, is first and foremost, you see how her hair is just so beautifully adorned with all of these shells, and then she's holding this huge shell, and you know there's so many ways you can begin to interpret this. So on the one hand, this shell that she's holding, it's got like that spiral, right? That spiral effect, which is creation code also, right? So what I'm getting from this is that she's like adorned now with her gifts, and she's holding like a really big gift also now. And in this particular card, she is sad, right? And in all frankness, this deck, it deals with the shadow energies and what we have to overcome to rise into our light. So this is speaking very succinctly again to that Nine of Wands energy, where you see how she's had to hold on to her gift quite tightly, and she's had to hold on to it with sadness, you know, but that's what's facilitated into her being able to rise into her power, powerful personal growth, right? So at the bottom of the deck, we do have Fairy of the Divine Hand, intoxication, distorted view, overindulgence. This is a card that speaks of not seeing yourself clearly because of all of the ways that you were distorted in your viewpoint of self. So we, 144 on my clock, we are projectors, right? We are supposed to, all of us project, right? We are holographic beings projecting our internal reality into this, what we call a matrix, you know, whether it's a false matrix or, you know, divinely aligned, it's still a matrix energy system that we deal with on all fronts. And you're a holographic being, I'm a holographic being. We're projecting what's going on internally in our biofields, and it's playing out before us like a movie. So every person you meet is just playing back to you yourself in some way, shape, or form, something you need to see about yourself. It's always a reflection of you, right? There's always something that you need to see about either yourself or what is going on in your own energy field so that you can take authority from things that aren't supposed to fucking be there, like running your show. So, the false divinely, we are supposed to be so rooted and grounded in ourselves and our power, and that God particle that we each have been entrusted with, that is an aspect of source energy, and we're all different, and therefore the aspects of source energy that we are here to emanate and express, it's going to be different. It's supposed to be different. And when we realize that, there's no room for comparison. It's as wise to compare yourself to another person as it is to compare a fish to a bird, a salmon to a goose. They're not the same. They're not supposed to be the same. They're beautiful in their own right. They have their own divine purpose on the earth in their individual ecosystems, and that's how it's supposed to be. They're not here to be compared. We're not here to try to make a salmon more like a goose or a goose more like a salmon, But within the false matrix, that's what they were trying to do with us. And that, again, whenever you try to pull a being away from who they actually are and pull them into lack mindsets, lack stories, lack narratives, it creates lack within. And it creates deficits within. It creates what we then call low self-worth, low self-esteem. And where there is low self-worth and low self-esteem, that sets up the stage for us to constantly begin to compare ourselves to other beings too, right? And that was the point. Everything in the false matrix was to get us to look outside of ourselves and to see everything as being better than us, and we can never attain that external picture of success and health and wealth that was constantly being paraded before us while purposely trying to make us feel less than. And so in divine alignment, when we are full of self, full of source, and therefore full of the self that we're supposed to be, when we look at another person, we don't have the need to do anything but to also see source in them too. And in that way, we're here to magnify one another's source beauty and to grow it even more on the earth planes, because that's what actually grows more internal harmony and peace, more harmony and peace for the other person, and therefore more harmony and peace on the earth. And so the false matrix distorted and inverted that in order to make it that we were constantly projecting our wounds on other people because we weren't able to see source in self. We couldn't really see it in other people. And even if we did, a lot of the time, it was in a distorted kind of way because our psyches had been programmed into lack and comparison. And so a lot of the time, and this isn't, for everyone, but we all were programmed to do this, just to varying degrees, right? So we would look at other people and we wouldn't realize that the things that we admire in them the most are just a reflection of us. And so the false matrix taught us to look at someone else and something they had with longing, with desire. And when that longing and desire becomes really distorted, then it becomes like envy. Right? It becomes a desire to take what they have at any cost. Right? So the whole point of how we are as holographic beings who are, projecting what is in our fields out into the world and onto other people, the whole point is that so we could get feedback about who we are in our source glory also, right? And so in the false matrix, that was flipped around. And so what we were seeing in other people a lot of the time was more stories of our own lack. So especially because a lot of the beings that we were placed in these scenarios with were beings who didn't want to see us shine. So instead of showing, like, reflecting back to us our beauty, our power, the things that we can't actually see about ourselves yet, because part of our experience here is to learn that through interacting with one another and for other beings to be our mirror, we were being mirrored back that there was something wrong with us. And that's how we begin to have these distortions about, like, who we are. Right? And it begins in childhood. It begins with those initial, siblings and your peers and community, in astrology, what we call the third house. And Gemini energy is where we begin to learn about who we are through interacting with other beings. And if you are a problematic person in the false matrix because your light was too bright, then the way beings would reflect who you were back to you was always to try to pull you down and to cause you to be distorted in your viewpoint of yourself, to cause you to take on a narrative about yourself that wasn't true, which is why so many of you can walk around and you're like these gifted, beautiful, intelligent, resilient beings who have been reduced to like hiding from the world because you really don't think you have anything to give, or that people aren't going to like you, or like all of those stories, because that's what you were purposely programmed into by other beings who felt insecure and threatened by your shine, and so therefore needed you to dim yourself down by making you believe that you were a problem, or causing you to not actually see yourself for who you are. Fairy of the divine hand, intoxication, distorted view, and overindulgence. And do you see this this like energy that's behind her also? This is a voice dictating to you who you are that's not you. This is a disruptor between you and source. This is a disruptor between you and the true benevolent guidance that should have been streaming through to show you who you actually are. This is the voice that became recorded in your psyche and you took on as your own. And a lot of the time, the voice that we take on as our own that caters to the distorted view that we have of ourselves. Again, it goes back to childhood. It goes back to those primary initial ways we begin to see ourselves in the world because of interactions with family, because of relationship with parents, siblings, and then later on your peers and community. So it feels like this is an ongoing story that you've been dealing with and going through the cycles of that constantly, trying to rise out of these scenarios where other beings were threatened by you and trying to imprison, and always having to push against that, just to be yourself, right? But it's almost like I'm hearing that Lizzo thing, and I've been waiting for this one, turn it up. It's like your soul, and even you on a conscious level, you've been like waiting for this time on the earth. You've been waiting for this moment where you could be safe to be able to shine. And when I say you could be safe, I am talking about the collective energy, but I'm also talking about that security that you finally found within yourself, where you won't allow yourself anymore to be pushed into a corner. You've risen too high into your confidence, into your power, and into the true story of who you are, that these other beings and external energies that come and try to vomit their false narrative on you, you just throw it right back at them. Because you're able to see, this ain't me. You're trying to make me something I'm not. This ain't me. This ain't me. I ain't gonna conform. I ain't gonna condescend. I'm not coming down. Either you come up and you meet me where I am and we can go on our merry way, or you fuck off, you know? But we're not doing this anymore. And that's the energy. It's like very like, fuck a bunch of this. Like literally, like just fuck it. Fuck a bunch of this. Like I was damned if I did, and I was damned if I didn't. So I may as well just do. You know, people are always going to have something to say, whether you act like a saint or you act like a sinner. So you may as well have fun doing whatever it is that aligns with your truth. And I'm not saying to go out there and do anything other than what aligns with your divinity. So I don't want anyone to come and tell me I'm promoting anything other than that. Okay, I'm going into my own deck to get you more. Work with the color orange. Walk away for a while to reflect and get perspective. Take a salt bath was coming out, not coming out, but it was making itself known. So working with the color orange is to do with sacral chakra, but it's also to do with recuperating your joy, recuperating your pleasure, recuperating your sacral energies, your ability to birth in accordance with who you are. Okay, so walk away for a while and get perspective. What's that about? We'll get into that a little bit more, hopefully. Maybe that's what you've already done. You've walked away from something and you've gotten a lot of perspective. You've learned now how to walk away from these situations to get the true perspective of who you are, as opposed to, you know, this fucking monster in the background that was constantly in your head dictating to you. And as I say that, look at this. Look at the card that's right beneath that. Death in the Maiden, invasion, boundaries, violated, dominance. You see how that energy was just eating her alive, right? It's in the past. It's in the past, yeah. Ghost of the past. So, let's see what else came out. Light a candle and talk to your ancestors or guides. Spiritual clarity, searching. So there's wisdom and guidance that's wanting to come through to almost like, I'm seeing like the Six of Swords, to almost help you move forward more swiftly into this timeline without disruption. And the disruption that I'm picking up on isn't necessarily like your disruption per se, so much as it is the disruption that arises when you choose to walk this path. So one of the downloads that was coming through here is that your next steps are going to be illuminated clearly, right? And so this card is saying light a candle for more spiritual clarity. So the guidance and the wisdom is coming through, but what I'm also feeling is like, so is the backlash, whether it's like, you know, real and visceral and in your face, or whether it's energetic, because understand and overstand that this also is just part of your energy signature, right? You ruffle feathers, right? So whenever you shift into something higher, a lot of the time, wherever you go, and it began with your family origin story, wherever you go, you kind of are very powerful to like claim the energy of that system, of that group, meaning that the way that you move and the way you shift has more of an impact on the group energy than other beings, which is also why they like to pull you down. They like to siphon you, because your energy is so powerful to influence the group energy system, right? So as such, when you are in antagonistic groups, antagonistic environments, when you rise higher into your power, there will always be resistance against you doing it, which again is why we stay away from the haters and the ones who aren't willing to do the work to rise with us, to rise out of their own woundedness, who don't realize that you're just a reflection of them too. Your beauty is something that is in them too. They may not have accessed it yet because they're too busy trying to steal it from you instead of unlocking it in self. So we do have this: take a salt bath, move emotional stagnancy, and clear your emotional body. And I do feel like, again, that's to do with a lot of the projections that want to linger, and the projections that trigger your very real emotional experience of constantly having been through this. Push past to get it done. Cultivating self-respect. Push past to get it done. So again, this is the resistance that wants to come up whenever you rise into your power. But this is about having, so much respect for who you now know you are, the truth of who you are, to the point where you don't take anything lying down anymore. And it's going to be really important as you shift. And I don't feel like this is something I need to, if this is your reading, I need to tell you. I feel like this is just something you're already very aware of and you're doing naturally. You're naturally not allowing for the resistances that enter to try to control or dominate you, or to put you in a fear or a guilty state, or to make you feel ashamed for who you are and what you're doing anymore. So part of what is changing now in terms of moving to your own tempo, or a result of doing that, is that your money situation is going to change. So your money, the card flew. 1 second, flew behind my computer, my keyboard. So here it is. Your money and your ability to make money is going to change. It's interesting that it flew like that. It's some of you may have been dealing very specifically. The reason why you were being constantly dimmed was part of a money block, spell, energy heist, however you want to look at it. Like you were intentionally being held back so that you wouldn't tune into the wealth that naturally belongs to you, and you naturally attract. You naturally magnetize it when you are in your truth. You and I'm talking about like money chases you kind of energy. When you are embodied and in that expression, and even somewhat performative, you're a magnet for money, you're a magnet for luck, you're a magnet for good fortune. And a lot of you, the reason why these beings, factions, groups, however you want to look at it, wanted to dim you down was really solely for the purpose of harvesting you for how you have that magnetism to pull things in towards you, and to instead have those things pulled in for them. Okay? So what actually came out. Oh, I love this. Love life. Love life. Love life. That's your guidance. Love life. Or maybe that's also what you are doing. And as you're doing that, you're tuning back into the natural magnetism that you have, your natural ability to pull in so much beauty and opportunity for yourself. And you're going to see that increase the more you give less fucks about what anyone has to say or think, if they're not with you and with your ability to rise in your truth and to be rooted and grounded in who you are. Also, the less fucks you give to those beings, those narratives, those distractions, the more your focus is going towards doing things that you love, and the more that you're doing that, the more that your money situation, your finances, your magnetism is shifting. We do have divine upgrades, your access to higher expressions and impressions of your truth. And then we have diverting destiny. So a lot of you are getting back a lot of the things that were diverted away from you. Right? You're getting not only you're getting divine upgrades, you're getting divine assistance. It's the second time it's coming through, because I'm telling you again, with your next steps are going to be illuminated clearly. And then that other card that was coming out about connecting with your guides, your ancestors, whoever that you connect with, that helps to give you helps you connect deeper with your own intuition, is what you need to be doing, because you are being shown very clearly where it is you need to go, or what it is you need to do. For as long as you are choosing to listen, you have a lot of help right now. You have a lot of divine intervention. You have upgrades and activations that are coming in to assure that your destiny timelines are now returned to you, and they're returned to you in the best way in terms of your ability to first do what you have to do for yourself to push into them. Right? And the only reason you have to push into them is not because you're not worthy, and not because, it should be difficult for you, or it's going to continue to be difficult for you. The reason you have to push into it is because of the fucking resistance that comes from those beings who've been benefiting from those timelines for themselves, and benefiting from you playing small and keeping you small, and, brainwashing you and gaslighting you into thinking things about yourself that were so far from the truth. A lot of the time, the things they were gaslighting you and brainwashing you into thinking were actually the truth of who they are. So where else shall I go? Oh, you know what? I'm going to close it up with my herbal deck. Let me just get some of this stuff out the way and clean up so I can do that. And while I'm doing that, I'll make my quick announcement. So I do have group Q&As happening this weekend for those of you who are interested in attending. On Saturday, March the 15th, I will be doing just a regular group Q&A where you can, show up and get a card pulled, get some channeled guidance within a group setting. So that's going to be Saturday, March the 15th. With me, and that will be from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 6 to 9 p.m. UK time. Sorry, I'm just organizing my cards. They've fallen apart a bit. On Sunday, March the 16th, I will be doing a Tarotstrology group Q&A where we will address your Chiron story and what it means for your soul mission. So I will go into your chart and utilize my system of Tarotstrology, where I use astrology, tarot, channeling, numerology, etc., to connect with your Chiron story, what it means for you in your chart. Because right now it feels like that Chiron energy is very, very strong, in the sense that we are in this place of very powerfully, in this particular energy window, surrendering the wounded warrior story and rising into our alchemical truth, right? So if you'd like to join me for that, for either Saturday or for Sunday, I will put the information in the description box and the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing some of you there. It's always a good time with you guys. The right people always seem to, it just always seems to work out, especially recently, that the people who are supposed to be there are there, the ones and who are supposed to meet. And yeah, I'm just very, very fortunate and, grateful for that space. Okay. Let's see what herbs. Eyebright. I was seeing it before, and Eyebright's been speaking to me recently too. So Eyebright, very, very apropos. Eyebright removes illusions. So we were just talking about that, how much of what we thought about ourselves were these illusions that were being casted and projected upon us by other beings because of their insecurities. And we were doing the same. We were all guilty of doing it. It was just to what degree? Right? Because most of us were just doing it unconsciously, not to harm other people. Prophetic Eyebright is good for prophetic dreaming, which is coming through also because it says that your next steps are going to be illuminated clearly. So for some of you, it's coming through very powerfully in your dream time. Eyebright is also powerful for increasing your third eye power, as well as your clairvoyance, right? And Eyebright also helps you to see all aspects of a situation, so it gives you true perspective as opposed to the limited perspective that comes when we see ourselves in the world through distortion because of woundedness, or when we are not able to see the fullness of something because we're being gaslit, etc., or because we have this propensity to see the best in people to the detriment of being able to see clearly what their danger might be to us, etc. So Eyebright is here at the bottom of the deck. What actually came out, we have Rue. Rue is another one that's come in very strongly the past week for me. We've got Damiana. I love Damiana. It's a great one to smoke with some catnip. Okay, and we've got cinnamon. So all beautiful energy for attraction, right? So Rue is great it's very powerful for removing removing baneful magic, malefic energy, entity removal. Rue is amazing for that, for breaking hexes, spells, uncrossing, cleansing, and protecting. Rue is very powerful. Rue in herbal medicine is an abortifacient, so it causes the uterus to expel what's in the uterus, right? So it can be used, in natural. I don't want to say the word because it's such a hot topic right now, but you get what I'm saying. It's used in natural ways of expelling life that's begun in the womb. Okay, so how a herb works biophysically, biochemically, is also how it works metaphysically, esoterically. So Rue is very powerful for aborting things that you don't want to bring into the fullness of fruition. And what would those things be? Well, things that maybe you no longer are in alignment with, or things that other beings are trying to plant into your reality or have planted in your reality over time, including these fake ass narratives you've had about yourself. Rue is able to be very powerful to pull those things out and put an end to the life that those things have and are giving you, right? Including, Rue is powerful for banishing entities, right? A word of caution, please don't drink Rue. It's not something that you should really ingest without proper guidance from a medical herbalist or a functional doctor, or a naturopathic doctor. Rue can be used in other ways. My favorite way to use Rue is in the bath, in candle work, around candles. You can use a little bit of it in a yoni steam, ladies, but again, you want to be very aware that it will bring on menses, or it will increase the power of your menses, because it does cause uterine contractions. So just be aware of that, okay? So Rue. The second one is Damiana. Damiana is a beautiful herb of passion. It's a herb that you can use very powerfully in both sex and love work. Okay, so Damiana intensifies astral travel and clairvoyance. So again, we have another herb that is dealing with clairvoyance, with being able to see clearly. Okay, Damiana also lowers inhibitions, hence the reason why that would be the way, the method by which it is an aphrodisiac, because it lowers your inhibitions, right? It's also a great attractor for good fortune and luck in love. Very powerful in love and sex magic and in attraction and lust workings. Now, many of you don't need to do attraction and lust workings because that's who you are naturally. And yet, for those of you who have forgotten who you are, or that aspect of yourself has kind of withered because of all of these attacks and the fuckery that you've had to go through because of it, working with these kind of attraction herbs can help to bring back your natural magnetism. This is how these tools are here to help us. We're not here to manipulate people and manipulate our realities negatively. We're pretty much just using these tools to reinstate what was already ours, that we just need a little bit of help reactivating. So Damiana is great for that. What else? Was something else coming through? Yeah. All love, money, sex herbs, or herbs that are great for attracting love, sex, and money will almost always have some kind of component that relaxes you. Because when you are in a relaxed state, when you are in parasympathetic mode, you are able to attract with ease. You're in that feminine energy of receiving when you're in parasympathetic. Your sympathetic nervous system is a masculine energy. It's there to help you go out and do something. Parasympathetic is here for you to chill out because everything's coming towards you. So all relaxing herbs actually have the ability to draw love and to draw money and to increase your magnetism. So you don't have to have a whole bunch of herbal wisdom to understand some of this, because you probably already know that herbs like chamomile and lavender and lemon balm are very calming herbs, and as such they're great for helping attraction work. One of my favorite herbs for helping you to chill out enough to be in receiving mode is catnip. I love catnip. I love to drink it in tea. I love to smoke the catnip. It's just so much fun. It just puts you in a more relaxed and playful mood. It gives you a little bit of a buzz, but nothing where you're out of control. And you can buy it anywhere where they sell dried herbs. So catnip is beautiful. And for those of you who connect very strongly to feline energy, whether you're a Leo or whether you connect to Lyran energy, or whether you have this big affinity for cats, I very strongly suggest working with catnip. Okay. Finally, cinnamon. Love, luck, and money. So cinnamon, again, is another herb that is very powerful for attraction, for love, luck, and money, and adding power to attraction work. So utilizing herbs that are already powerful for attraction, and then using it to empower further. And the thing about it is that magic and ritual should be in everything, because you're already constantly living ritualistically. So why not always maximize the power of that truth? So if you, like me, put cinnamon in your coffee or cinnamon in your yogurt, activate it to draw certain things to you. Learn the properties of the things that you eat, so that when you're eating them, you're activating the power, and everything becomes a conscious ritual to assist you in living in your highest timeline. That really is what prayer or grace before food is actually supposed to be about. We're here to activate the food into the power of what it naturally holds and is imbuing to us. And if we are able to speak it over, we bring it to life, right? Because especially when you are eating food that is natural, it's going to contain water. So you're programming the molecular structures of the waters that are within that food, that when they come into your fields and merge with your waters, that they work together, that your waters can enhance and magnify what it is you're taking in. That's really what prayer is supposed to be, right? Prayer. Okay, so Damiana, you can also drink. I'm not a big fan of drinking Damiana. I'd rather smoke it, take a bath with it, yoni steam with it. But yeah, cinnamon, of course, you can do with tea. Eyebright, you can do with tea also. Eyebright, you can make a sachet and put it underneath your pillow for dream work. You can, I think in old folklore, they would make a strong eyebright tea, and before they went to bed, they'd put a drop on each eye. Medicinally speaking, if you have any issues with, blurry vision or agitated or dry eyes or even conjunctivitis, Eyebright is very powerful for lubricating the eye and helping to get rid of irritation, inflammation, and even, like viral and bacterial outbreaks within the eye. So, yes, you can make eye washes with Eyebright to help with that. Alrighty. That's what I have for you. I hope that this reading was helpful, insightful, inspiring. If you would like to work with me, if you'd like to book a soul recovery session, you can do so through my Ko-fi. I'll put the information for that below. I very specifically want to highlight that because right now I'm still having issues with Calendly. So if you book with me and you purchase your 60 or 90-minute session and you are unable to choose a time from my calendar, don't fret. Either, write me an email, solaraspeaks@proton.me, but the minute that I see that you have already put it in order, I will always, if you haven't arranged a time in my calendar, I will always email you and we can converse and figure out what is best for you. Okay, so I still do divine alignment readings and also TAROTSTROLOGY readings. I don't do TAROTSTROLOGY reports anymore. For divine alignment readings or TAROTSTROLOGY readings, you can email me directly for my availability concerning those, but you are able now to go through Ko-fi and directly book in for soul recovery sessions. It is 2:22 on my clock. Beautiful time to draw this to a close. We began at 1:11. We're closing at 2:22. Last announcement, please do feel free to join me. Oh, it's 1:11 on the timer too, 1 hour, 11 minutes. Feel free to join me on solara.xyz. If you enjoy my daily alchemy messages, you can receive them every day on that site or in your inbox every single morning. The Daily Alchemy, it's a free resource, and then there are other options to join me on the platform and to become a member, and there are different tiers for joining depending on the level of support you want to give or the amount of content you want to get from me, pretty much. So yes, if you would like to make donations or to the channel, or you'd like to tip me, all that information is also in the description box below. But I'm going to get going. I'm sending you guys all so much love. Until next time, be well.